Welcome to the Little Big Business podcast.
So I am a grazing board / smalls caterer. Yeah, I love helping people.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Little Big Business podcast. I am your host, Danny Hollywood of Danny Hollywood Video Drone Photo, your international award-winning video and photo team. However, as per always, and if you have been watching previous episodes, you will know that the podcast is not about me at all. It is about my illustrious guest. Now, today's guest is one of my past brides. Yes. Now, somebody that I've had the pleasure of shooting their wedding for them, and she's gone from being a bride and a client to one of North Devon's finest and biggest and most busiest wedding vendors. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Miss Katie Lay of Graze and Small.
Hello.
Hello, my lovely. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Yeah, dude.
It feels so funny when you say that. I'm like, oh yes, I was your bride.
Yes, you were. Yes, because now you are fully fledged business owner. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So no, it's I will say from the outside in that it is obviously the most incredible thing. Yes, you've gone from now. Obviously, naturally, I love it when I see people that I've had the pleasure of shooting for in either photo or video, guys. But then to see somebody that I've shot for, yeah, so I know you a bit more than I would know other vendor. I know who you are. I know what passion you bring to the table. Yes. And you've turned that passion into a full-fledged business.
Yes. Madness.
I know, right? Because you are everywhere. So for the boys and girls at home, Graze and Small, what are you?
So I am a grazing board / smalls caterer. So I cater for days of weddings and evenings. So breakfasts and buffets, but a little bit different. So creative food. So artisan, really luxury. Yeah. I love it.
I bet you do. No. We only did one very recently, didn't we, up at Torstop?
We did.
For a wonderful couple that we both were booked for. Yep. And that's happening more and more frequently now where I am at weddings and here you pop up and I'm like, hello.
Absolutely. It's always nice to see a familiar face.
Absolutely. Always. You know, that's part of, I always think some of the best wedding days I ever do are where because naturally for me, I'm there from start to finish. So if I get there first thing in the morning and I see a makeup artist and a hairdresser that I'm really good friends with, it does slightly change the way I feel about the day. Sure. Yeah, because it sets me off on a happy note.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's familiarity, is familiarity? There you go. Sorry about that. It does. It makes you feel very comfortable. I agree with you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Where's the furthest you've been this year?
So I've been to Cornwall this year. Yeah. I tend to keep it Devon and Cornwall based as much as possible, but I will travel further afield. But we've got so many beautiful venues locally that it's meant that actually it's worked really well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I totally appreciate that. Yes, because naturally I've spent less of this year in Devon, but by design, because I know I know that I'm quite established here now. So I was like, right, I'm now at a stage where I probably don't necessarily need to be here. Because the Devon weddings will find me. So then it's like, right, can I establish now in Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset? But this year I've had the luxury of going much further afield, which is cool. I suppose as it keeps growing, it's a case of it gets more popular, it gets bigger, so then more people from further afield find you and see you. Yeah. And it's nice, and that
it's a natural progression, I think.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Cool. Okay. So obviously, we have talked about some sort of extensive notes. We're going to delve in straight away. Yeah. So, obviously, I primarily, and I did talk about this last pod actually, where I'm in here predominantly on my own. Yeah. And running your own business, I will say it is bloody lonely. Yes. Yeah, and it is lonely. Now, I am lucky that I like the loneliness.
Yeah.
I thrive in it because it means that I have clear thoughts and I can just get on with it. Yeah, I can move at the speed that I need to move at, not move at the speed of my slowest mover. So naturally, you do a lot of your stuff on your own.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've gone from the corporate world into running Graze and Small. Yeah. So what's that look like for you?
So I think from spending time with clients, customers, I used to work in Nationwide Building Society, so a bit of a backstory. Worked there for 10 years, hotel industry before that. So I'm very used to being around people. I do think I thrive being around people, and I do think that I enjoy that company. Yeah. Having said that, moving into business, I think I underestimated how lonely I would feel. Yeah. To be quite honest with you. I think that goes with lonely in your own thoughts, because you're owning a customer's journey from the moment they message you to the moment that you complete, your wedding with them, and even after that. So it doesn't ever kind of end. And I think that it is absolutely wonderful. Again, like you say, being in control of your own thoughts, control of your own diary, you know. I do understand actually what you mean by that, but actually I feel like sometimes it can be fairly lonely, especially when, I'm prepping and it's nice to bounce ideas off some people sometimes.
Yes, of course. Naturally, everybody that I seem to have on that side of the table, okay, and everybody that I've chatted to so far, the ones that are fully established, quite deep into their journey and are nailing it. Yeah. They all seem to have it. And I'm digressing. I don't know this. I am just digressing from what I see and knowing you as a couple. Yes. Is that I know that I am nailing this because it's so good at home. Yeah. I know that I'm nailing this because I don't have the stress. Yeah. Of a wonderful woman, who takes care of everything else. The raising of our son, although I see so much of him and I take a huge active part in that. But when I need to be on, which is obviously now, this time of year, we're in December. It's chilling out, it's quieting down, it's nice, The weddings are not so thick and fast, which means I can A, catch up on editing, but also B, I can relax, I can feel your wedding a little bit more, as opposed to in the summer where it's, right, you've got me for 24 hours. So naturally you've got that support at home.
Massively, and I think that was a huge conversation we had to have before starting out, because I was actually working and doing this on the side. So for 6 months, it was quite a short period of time really when you look at it. I was doing both. Having said that come as a detriment to my family, you know, and being a mum, you have this ideal that you should be with your children 24/7, nothing should get in the way. Actually, to be honest with you, I really felt that strain. So that's hence why something had to give. With James, my husband, if it wasn't for him really kind of supporting me, there was no way I could do this. No way. That also come as a result of COVID, working from home, hybrid roles, because he used to be out the door at 7, home at 6. I wouldn't see him. So there would have been no way for me to sustain being a mum and keeping a house and all those other things if it wasn't for the flexibility that came with his work as well. So worked hand in hand really.
Cool.
I feel lucky.
Okay, cool, awesome. Right, okay, so you're the first person I've had on that, I think, because obviously I was in the similar boat, so I was doing this part-time, but I've been doing it part-time since 2015. It's sort of when I say 2015, what I mean by that is that's when I started making videos. It wasn't necessarily when I started in the wedding industry. So then it has just progressed from there. But I too, so you sound like you're telling me there that you kind of were a beneficiary of COVID. I was a beneficiary of COVID. I had my part-time gig where I was limiting it by design. I was saying no more than 10 weddings plus one property agent, and that's all I could accommodate for because I had a full-time job.
I remember. I was one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas COVID gave me the backdrop to, right, we had so many people who were pushing weddings back, so many people then with extra budgets.
Yes.
People going, cool, okay, we want a videographer. Now, in obviously now it is both, but at that point it was, right, I am only one human. I can't do both. Yeah. I'll put my eggs in the basket of the one that I am truly passionate about. Like, I love both, but I truly love video. Yeah. I love video for creating videos for people, whereas I think photography, I like photography for me. Yeah. I like taking photos because I enjoy it, as opposed to, but I am also then happy to transfer that skill to my customers. So, I definitely found 100% that I had that backlog then of people that had that extra budget who were like, right, cool, we now want a videographer. And I found my inbox was when it came sort of apparent that we were going to be able to come back to it, it was bonkers. And I'm talking bonkers. And obviously you talked about there just that strain, of that 6-month period. Mm-hmm. I had the same. I decided in January 21 that by July 21 I'd be full time. Yeah. In that 6 months, I went from this grand idea to nearly being suicidal. Well, no, I'm not nearly. I was there. Yeah, I felt it was bad. Yeah, because I pushed it too hard. Sure. But because I knew, especially, I do think this is quite prevalent as a bloke, as a man. Yeah, that look, we in COVID had our first child, so my wife still only works 3 days a week. Yeah. Yes, and of course she does. Because I want her to she's got the most amazing relationship with our son. And if she was working 5 days a week, where would that come from? He'd be at nursery all the time. And we want that nice blend of he goes to nursery sometimes, so he gets the benefit there. Yeah. But then he spends time with me and his mum. Yes. Yeah? So we have that really tight bond. Now, obviously, I feel that need to. I still need to be the breadwinner. Yeah. I still need to make sure I make enough money that we can live. And obviously, if I'm going to give what I have to give to make a full-time business, it all lands on me, on my shoulders. This is why things cost the way they do, boys and girls, because naturally we take that risk. You go to wedding shows or however you find us and you see us, and you might be, but you also might not be self-employed, which means you don't have that pressure. Yes. Now, I don't feel that pressure because I actually trust the system and think, right, the quality's there, it will come, and thus far it has. Yes. But obviously, in the wedding industry, which we're both in, we work in a super competitive environment. Yeah. And essentially, what you're basically saying to brides and grooms is book me for food at a venue that they already have catering. They already have caterers. They already have people that no. This is my station. Yeah. This is what I do. Yeah. So what's that been like for you in terms of?
I think at the beginning I wasn't aware of what were DIY venues and what venues offered catering in-house. Mm-hmm. So my job at the beginning was literally contacting every venue, but I knew how to do that through my skills that I think are transferable. Yeah. And I thought, how did I used to do this in the building society? I know. Contact them by phone, email, and try again. Yeah. A little bit relentless, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Very difficult. There was a lot of people said no. A lot of people didn't want to listen. Yeah. So then I thought, well, how else do I do this? And it was genuinely just get booked in by a bride and groom. Yeah. So therefore, I had all the correct sort of insurances and all of those things, which again, I think that sometimes people aren't sure if you have those. I'm like, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. And actually saying, what I offer, what I bring to the table, literally. Yeah. Excuse the pun. the food.
Absolutely.
What I bring to the table is good. It's different. And I know that I care. Yeah. And I know that I can do a good job. Yeah. And I know that I can learn. And I know I'm not scared to stop learning. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference. So if they do, I know a lot of people, we've already sorted our catering. Okay, what have you got? Well, we've got someone coming in the day. Okay, have you sorted your evening food out yet? Oh, no, I haven't done that yet. We were just thinking, maybe getting some fish and chips. I said, okay, so where? And they don't know. Yeah. So it's having that kind of conversation of going, okay, and who's providing you some breakfast in the morning? Have you thought about eating, before? Yeah. Oh, no, we haven't thought about that. Oh, maybe. Again, it's putting pressure on them instantly, because as a bride, when you've been married yourself, you do remember how it feels if something wasn't thought of. Yeah. So my job is to really think about food for them. Yeah. Love food, in case you didn't know. Love cheese. So and saying, who's feeding you throughout the day. Yeah. So it might well be that they do have a caterer, but there is always somewhere where I can then slot in. Yeah. And there is always something that I believe I can offer, whether that be at places, I'm going to name some venues now, like Ashbarton, where they're there for 3 days, our brides and grooms. Who's providing you dinner the night before your wedding? Yeah. Who's going to give you some nibbles the day after where you're a little bit feeling...
Especially somewhere like that, because it is designed for that grand house that's designed for you to... It's not designed for you to be split apart. You're not in rooms. You are in this great house with this massive kitchen. Yeah. It's designed for that whole idea that you get together with the people that you know and love with this great big table in this massive kitchen. Yeah. Boom. It's where you fit in.
It works. And I think it's just having that idea that actually there is a lot more available to you than maybe you already know. And actually it can be easier. Yeah. And also as well, from a price point, it really doesn't have to be as expensive as you think. Yes. And everything is different. Every venue's different. Every bride and groom are different. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And it's not just that, is it? It's that you're bringing, like you've just said there, you're asking questions that are thought-provoking because you know, but also because you are a professional. Because you aren't going, right, okay, we could just do this, but actually I bring this to the table. And you take that thought process away from you, pass it on to me, and I'll nail it for you. Yeah. I've got all sorts going on at the moment where, and I do get this, I'm getting this because obviously the financial situation for people at the moment is tough. Sure. And I do appreciate that. But I'm getting a lot at the moment where I'm getting a lot of inquiries in, and then they're going to me, oh, we've trusted a friend. Now, I'm saying to them, right, that's cool. Yes. That's not a problem. Like, I get it and I understand it. But just recently, I had a friend of mine who I used to play football with him. And he reached out to me because he basically wanted me to try and, editing-wise, save his wedding photos. Okay. Yes. Now, not going to go much further than that on camera, but because I don't want to poo on someone else's work. Yes. But I couldn't do anything. No. Because the shots were shot in a certain format, which lead to no potential point of editing. And look, I'm a very talented human, but I'm not a wizard. So there's limitations to what I can do if certain things haven't happened. Now, this is what happens if you're gonna, and the way that I would caveat this is, so I know your husband because we used to play football together. Yes? Are you into football like he is?
Oh, yes.
Yes? Because I know, because my wife is, yeah?
Well, I've got two brothers. I had to be. Yeah.
I did think that you were, but I wasn't sure, so I had to ask. Love it. Now, the analogy I sort of use here is that, so what you're saying here is, apparently, I am the best in the world in what I do. Yeah? So you're saying that you could have Lionel Messi play on your team, but you're not. You're going to have your friend play in that position because they can play football. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm hearing. Yeah, I'm hearing, okay, you've got a friend that can do it. That's great, but will they do it to my level?
Yeah.
Will they do it with certain guarantees?
Absolutely. And this goes back to, it goes back to the fact that you're saying, why do we exist then?
Yeah.
Why does a professional person exist that does offer videos and photography? Because they're a professional, because they've invested in equipment, because they've researched, because they've got experience.
Yeah.
It's all these things that you're saying when actually people try to help people, and that's really lovely and really, really good. In my experience, I was booked in 2021 6 times I know of off the top of my head for people that decided that actually they were going to do it themselves, and they thought, no, we just can't, because it's too much, you know, and it's too much to put on somebody else. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it works. Sometimes it works in my industry. Sometimes it works. But like your experience, it doesn't always. And I think that's really important to highlight, is that anyone can offer a grazing board. I completely understand that. But do they understand what's involved? Probably not. And I think that's the where I'm at is who we are as people. We were having this conversation a minute ago, weren't we? You know, why book us compared to somebody else, or why book us, you know, instead of doing it yourself?
What makes me unique? Yes. So I'm thinking. So I'll go straight away here and say, so what makes me unique? I've got 3 people in my team, not just one. I don't know anybody in North Devon who has that. They have themselves, and that's it. Whereas I have 3. I know. I'm going to name drop here. So Julie Wicks Photography. She has a studio. Friend of mine, wicked. Andy Casey Photography. He has a studio. Fantastic. He doesn't do weddings anymore. Yes. So there's one eliminated if you're looking at weddings here.
Sure.
So then there's officially me and Julie. Now, my studio is very different to hers. Hers is designed for photography shooting, whereas mine is designed for video recording. Yes. I couldn't do photos in here; it wouldn't work. But that's by design. Yes. You know, again, what makes us different? Is it? You know, everyone's going to have certain levels of experience.
Sure.
You know. But I can now turn around and go, you see these shiny awards, that's what makes me That's what makes me different. What makes you different?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, great question. Absolutely.
I'm going to name drop one of my ultimate supporters and friends, and he's called Adrian Ball. And if you're on Instagram, or you know, you want to follow him, you should, because he is so inspiring. It's beyond words. And one time in lockdown, I'm going to digress a little bit, but to explain why I'm different is because one time in lockdown, I was at the worst place I've ever been. Without going into too much detail, I'd had a nervous breakdown. And this is in February of 2020. So this wasn't COVID yet. No. After that, I decided on recovery, what can I do to help myself recover? I spoke to him and said, I just need some guidance. I need some help about my career, because that's what I was really struggling with. What do I do? I don't know what to do. And he said, what are you good at? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, you're good at making people feel good. And I'll never forget that, because I then said to him, I am actually good at that, aren't I? It was the first time, I think, probably in my life, where I've had that level of confidence to say, I am good enough. And I'm good at making people feel good, even though I don't feel good myself. And actually, off the back of that, I would say, because I care and because of what I've been through and a battle with anxiety, which I still will have now, and I still do struggle, if that is if that manifests itself in the correct way, and I know that you said this in your hardest time, if you drive that worry or that care into what you're doing, it's the difference of being good or not, in my opinion. Absolutely. And I think if you care, and again, what makes me different is that you can come to me at a wedding fair, and we had this conversation again off air, and you say to me, I haven't booked a venue yet. I don't go, well, you need a grazing table, you know, because grazing tables are the best. You need us to do your catering. I say, okay, where have you looked for your venue?
How can I help?
Let's start. how can I help you?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if we don't start with your venue, then you're not going to be listening to me about food.
Yeah.
You're not going to be worrying about that.
We are cogs in this whole event. Yeah.
And it's working together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's evidence of that.
You know, what are you looking for? Are you looking for this type of venue? Are you looking for that type of venue?
Yes.
Well, I have a good relationship with this venue, with that venue. I know that certain things you're looking for, you will get here. You won't get there.
And it's about the bride and groom, you know, and in front of you. In that time that you can have a conversation, I feel like that's sometimes what I can bring out of people.
Yeah.
And I know that I can, in that short space of time, I can find out a lot about somebody. Yeah. And then with that information, what do I do then? Use it and think, actually, do you know what? I think you'd be recommended here. But when you are ready for catering, let me know. And I will say 9 times out of 10, they'll come back to me. Yeah. Because you've been honest, upfront. Yeah. There's no of this kind of, what do I get out of it? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it will all come round.
It's not sale.
It's not sale.
Because it's just not that, is it?
It won't work.
You go to a wedding show and you go sale, you'll scare people after death.
You will. It's too much information. Yeah. If you gauge that person in front of you, that client in front of you, you will see if they've had too much information or they're okay to have a little chat. You know, and it's all about questioning. Yeah. And again, it's those transferable skills. Yeah. And talking about business now, how do you go into business? Well, I don't know really. No. I just know that you have to be good at listening and really good at communicating and just looking at somebody and thinking, do you know what? A bit of empathy, you know, a bit of understanding.
So from the outside in, I'm going to say, I feel like you are absolutely smashing it. Yeah. Now, I've had people that side of the table telling me the exact same thing. I'm going to say this now. Do you think you're smashing? As in, you know you're busy, but do you feel like you're smashing it, or do you feel like you're just doing?
It's really hard. I think from what I've learned, because I have to change the way I speak about myself. I have to change the way that I have to believe in myself, because if I don't, nobody else will.
Why else would somebody else?
So actually, do you know what? I feel like I'm smashing it.
Oh, nice.
Now.
Epic.
I do.
That's good. That's so good.
Because I know that the work I've put in, that does not mean in any way, shape or form that I know there's not loads I can learn and loads that I'm still learning. Yeah. And, you know, I collaborate with a fantastic caterer, Tommy G. I'll name him because he's just so good.
Hey.
And again, Tommy seen my work right at the beginning. It was a children's table. I'd first started, you know, lovely client, the mum. She gave me an opportunity. She's seen what I did. Yeah. Tommy went to that party and he seen the Graze and said, would you ever think about collaborating with me? I'm like, absolutely yes. Yeah. It's having that belief in yourself that somebody of his, you know, he's a chef, he's a fantastic chef, has been for years. He believed in me. So actually then I've come to a point now where I'm like starting to believe in myself. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and now you haven't, you know, I'm talking about that I've got a 3-person team, but you came to Torsop the other day and you had media crew, you had, you know, you've grown yourself a little team, you know, and people have faith in you that you will nail it so that they can work with you. They can work for you. You know, I think the greatest thing and when this starts happening, that's when you know you've not made it, but you are there.
You're just getting that little bit more established every day.
I'm starting to get more and more frequently now.
Yes.
I've got someone that I've got to get back to, and I will do. I know it was a few days ago that you emailed me. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I will get back to you, I promise. But I've got people that they want my help to get on board. Yeah, they're jumping in, going, can you teach me? Yeah. Can you help me?
I've had that too, which is lovely. It's really humbling, and I think that as well, it's a very fine line as well, isn't there? Because you also, I don't want to come across that I know everything, because I don't, but I equally know that I will try and I will do my best and I will always show up. But it is. And when you just mentioned then about a team, sort of, that's friends for me. They're friends that I have gone to school with, some of those girls, and they're girls that have had my back as my husband would have in sharing my posts, you know, believing me, asking how I am, you know, saying, can I buy from you? Not even can I buy from you, commenting, telling a friend, all that word of mouth that, do you know what, I'm going to be honest, what North Devon does bring, you know, a fantastic community. And I find that without those friends supporting me, I definitely couldn't have gone into what I've gone into now. Because, you know, I had a 140 person day wedding in May. And if you'd have told me that...
If I told you that 12 months ago, you'd have been like, no chance.
Not a chance, no. But again, with that came so much planning, you know, worry, you know...
The bit behind the scenes that nobody sees.
The stuff, you know. But that meant that it was absolutely a success. But again, it's having those people behind you that know you as well, you know, and I think that's what's been, brilliant, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's so good. You know, that picture up there, that is my secondary photographer.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've edited that, but I didn't even take that shot. Wow. Now I take that picture to wedding shows to show, because I'm like, right, so you like what you see, fantastic. Well, this is my second photographer.
Yes.
Yeah, she borderline, she better than me.
But then she's on your team. There's a reason why.
She's better than me.
You want good people.
Yeah, she's got a fantastic eye. Yeah, so I'm sort of saying there that, if you think that I'm wonderful as a business owner and I deserve all these accolades, that's fantastic. Well, this is my weakest cog and it ain't weak. Yeah. Exactly. She's a wizard in her own right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the level that you're attaining to, that, you know, the strength of your team determines the strength of your business.
100%. And honestly, like, one of my girls will go out on her own and she'll do it. And I wouldn't ever trust someone with it unless I was 1,000,000% sure. And there are tables when I come back and I'm like, don't be too good. I'm like, all right, that's really good. But again, it's that having those people on your team that are as good, if not better than you, and get it and understand why you're doing what you're doing. And it is. It's invaluable. Valuable? Don't know.
Well, yeah, we got there. Valuable. We know what we're talking about. Absolutely. We know what we're talking about. Epic. Cool. Okay. I think that nicely brings us to the end of part 1. So join us shortly, guys, for part 2. Woo! Woo woo! Cool. Okay. Welcome back to the Little Big Business podcast. Welcome back to part 2. First part went with we barely even touched our notes. Yeah, because of course we didn't. Because we are very similar in terms of we love a chin wag, which is partly the reason why this podcast even exists.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because it does certain things for me. It does a lot for the people that side, but also I just like talking. Everyone knows that I talk too much, so I thought I was made for podcasts, really, wasn't I?
Love it. Absolutely. It's a good thing.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's take it down a slightly different route. So naturally, we deal with a lot of different people in terms of client-wise, but then we also work hand in hand with a lot more suppliers, other businesses. Okay. Now, part of the thing that I say about this pod is that I always want a certain I've got people now that are obviously asking to come on, which is fantastic, but I'm working through my list of people that I want on first, yes, because naturally I want certain things for certain people, because I want people that get it, that are driven like I'm driven, that think like I think, yes, because it's so easy to have this thing. You have success one minute and it's gone the next. Mm-hmm. So you do need to definitely surround yourself with the right sort of people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I could name drop a few people that I would go, cool, that's someone that I would, if I needed to, I would lean on them. Yeah. So Kaylee of Snapdragon Photography. Yeah. My favourite photographer that I get to work with when I'm not the photographer myself. Definitely. People like Laura at Toolstock Court, the guys at Watermouth, because they are amazing. I've got to shout out the guys at Country Ways. I'm shooting their son's wedding next year at Country Ways, which is also my wedding venue. So it's to have the backing of those sorts of people, people that are super driven, nailing it, but they also then understand the other side of it. That it's tough, it's challenging, it's a very competitive, depending on what avenue you're in, it's super competitive. As a videographer, I'm not so bad, but now I'm offering photography, I enter into a world that is absolutely flooded. So why me rather than that photographer or that photographer or that photographer or that photographer? Whereas I'm going, cool, okay, so I mirror them with in terms of quality, I feel. The wedding industry says I am, but also I'm good enough as a photographer that it marries up to the standard of my videography, which I have if there was one of the two that I'm going, right, okay, I back that with everything I've got, it is my video side of things, yes? Because it is my first love and my baby. So it's the one that I know, right, I know I can nail that. And the good thing is I know I can nail that in terms of push that onto I've taught someone else how to do it. So it frees me up then to be a photographer. But where I have any shortfalls there, I am, like the one that I've got tomorrow, I'm going up later today because I'm concerned about the weather. So I'm doing all the things to not cover my backside, but at the same time to make sure that if I have any discrepancies, I'll pick them up by putting in more effort, going back, things of that ilk. Yes. So you've obviously named a few people in terms of businesses that you obviously have got. When they're there, they come out so quickly, don't they? In terms of right, who've we got that we think wicked? They're someone I can lean on, and I think that's probably the reason why we're here. Yes, we are like-minded. We get it. We want it. Yes. Yeah, we want it. We don't want to go back to I'm prepared to. Yeah. But I don't want to go back to working for somebody else ever again.
Same. No, exactly. No, definitely. And I think as well, it's until I was always told as well, until you do something 100%, it was actually, do you know what, who comes on the tip of my tongue is Laura Kitto from Every Last Detail. Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. She has inspired me in ways that she wouldn't even know. And we don't do the same thing. Laura is London, everywhere now. And again, I'll never forget, she said one day, she took the hit. She said, my mortgage has got to be paid, so it's got to work. Yeah. And I get it, and I do, and I believe that, I've got to work. Yeah. I love working. Yeah. I love having my own. Yeah. I love bringing something to the table. Yeah. Again, I'm saying that again, but I do, and I love, I love helping people. Mm-hmm. And I think that in business as well, it is the bigger picture, I think with Tommy from Tommy G's Catering giving me the opportunity to be able to shadow him was just a bit of confidence, if nothing else, that he's seen what I did and loved it. And again, then I got in venues off my own back, those phone calls I mentioned. But again, then I'd meet a photographer. Yeah. And we'd have a chat. Yeah. And do you know what? The bride and groom might not have provided them food, but I have. Yeah. I've said, look, have you been fed? Yeah. Are you all right? Yeah. No one's ever said that before. Woohoo!
What was that?
There you go.
Yeah,
outtake in.
Keep that in. Leave that in. It's all
Keep that in. Yeah. And I think that when I've spoken to other businesses and we've had this conversation, and they won't forget that. And I'm sure you're in the same position when somebody just does something little for you, or it might not be little, but to them it's huge. It can be the difference. And I've got such good relationships. And I think going back to the sort of loneliness I was talking about, a photographer who's based actually in Ivybridge, I believe, she put on her post about just going out for a coffee to do her admin because she just needed some background noise because it was just this kind of silence that was deafening. And I wrote back and went, when do you want a coffee? And we've booked one. And I've got Claire from Lunar and Light going over. So a couple of photographers that I have met that we're just like, do you know what? We're going to go and have a coffee. Yeah. We probably won't get any admin done. No. We'll pretend we are. Yeah. But I think the main thing is having those relationships and not feeling lonely in an environment that can be. But yes, suppliers, I just absolutely love working with venue owners, love working, but again, it's took relationships. It's took, us building on those relationships, to be trusted by them, because I'll never forget, I believe it might have been Country Rays who said it, and it was just like, well, remember that you're not going to a wedding and going, well, we had food from Graze and Small, we had dinner from Tommy G's Catering, we had drinks provided by him, you're saying, I went to Country Rays wedding, it was absolutely amazing. Yeah. You're not going to name all the suppliers to somebody. So actually, when they're trusting you to be a videographer there, a photographer there, when they're trusting you to do the food there, they're trusting you with their business. Yeah. And I think that was something I underestimated. Yeah. Something that actually I was like, well, of course I want to meet the owner of the venue. I want to introduce myself to them because they're also a customer of ours. Yeah. The bride and groom are a customer of ours. I'm just talking about weddings now because, again, I do lots. No. They're a customer, and we've got to have those relationships with everybody.
Yeah, because I'll give you a real world example of how this works in business, boys and girls. So, me and, should I go this far? I don't know. Right, yeah, so me and Kaylee worked a wedding. That's how far I'll go. Yeah. So me and Kaylee worked a wedding a few months ago, and we got there, and Kaylee went, oh no, this caterer, and I'd never experienced this caterer before, and she just went, this caterer's rubbish. Right. Oh, what? Yes, I will actually. Right, so we got. Now, this will make your toes curl, because this is what you do, right? So they had, as a starter, they had like a sharing platter. Sure. You would do something very similar, It looked fantastic. Yeah. What we got was what was pulled back off the tables, So they'd fed the masses, they then pulled back off the table. Now, out of pure pride, I was like, I'm not touching that. No. I'm not touching that.
You shouldn't.
Correct. Yeah. And then our main was supposed to be that we were going to have. They had like a grazing table type thing. They had a server on each table, and they had this banging joint of meat from a local butcher. So the point is that they were supporting a butcher that they know well, love, etc. And we were supposed to, some of us were supposed to be chopped down away for us. Yeah. And again, we were like, right. And because Kaylee knew this photographer, Kaylee knew this caterer. She was like, and she knows how they roll. She basically went and challenged them. And she's the least aggressive human I've ever met in my life. Yeah. I can't even get her on this pod because she's not, I want her on. Yeah. I want her on as my first photographer. Absolutely. Yeah, but she won't because she doesn't think that she's got enough to talk about and she's shy. Yeah, and I get that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But even she was like, what's going on? Yeah. What is going on? Yeah. What's going on? Because it's like, you're going to, because we know what's happening here. They're going to feed us after they've fed. Well, you mean when we have to go back to work? Yeah. Because they have speeches that they want me to record and her to shoot reactions of. Yeah. So we need to be fed at the same time. Yeah. And what they basically said, exactly the same thing. They wanted us to wait for the food that had been eaten to come back out for us to then have what we had. What they ended up doing for us as a main is they plated up the starter with some potatoes and went, there you go, there's your meal. We took a selfie in McDonald's on the way home. Yeah. Because we were hungry. Yeah. Because the food was poor. And if you get a bad supplier, your other suppliers will know. Now the way sorry, trying to get back to the point is that now I was speaking to Tourstop only last weekend, and they were like, "Who is that caterer? Can you please find out? Because I'm putting them on my shit list."
Yeah. Well, that's the difference.
They won't be welcome at this venue.
No, and I think that there's got to be that element of. I feel like you rely on what other people do tell you. Yeah. And this is why going back to like reviews now. Yeah. You know, you talked about awards. Yeah. We were nominated for Southwest Wedding Awards. We didn't win it. Absolutely fine. Yeah. The fact that I got nominated was huge. Isn't it? It was just huge to me. It was such an achievement. But because me and Laura were talking this at Talk Court, because we were nominated by our brides and grooms, you know, because what they say about us matters. Yeah. And, you know, it's all good and well feeding, because for the first couple of months I fed friends and family. Mm-hmm. I did really good offers. It wasn't ever a profitable thing. No, of course. To get good and to get better and to really nail it before I catered a wedding. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're catering somebody's biggest day of their life. Yeah. You're recording, you're photographer, you're taking photos of it. Like it's actually, if you think about it, it's quite scary.
The pressure's on. But that is right. I'm going to hit this with, I feel no pressure, none whatsoever. I bet you don't now either. Yeah. And this is the difference. Yeah. The difference why you go and get you go a you and you get a me. Yeah. Because we aren't nervous, because this isn't our first rodeo. Exactly. We've done hundreds of these. Yeah. So everything I'm doing doesn't feel foreign to me. No. If you have a photographer, videographer, if you have a caterer that's nervous, why are they nervous?
They should be able to answer all your questions, and they should be able to do that confidently. Yeah. And again, it's also, you know, positioning food. My job is to say, look, are you feeding the photographer? Are you feeding the videographer? Are you doing that? Or, you know, I hadn't thought about that. Well, that's also my job to maybe just kind of say, you know, are you going to do that? And I think as well, it's like positioning grazing as an option for food. Mm-hmm. You know, the first thing I get is, but my dad, he just loves, you know, a lot of food. And I get that. I do. You know, the other flip side is, but actually they didn't want that. They won't really get it. They won't really get that as wedding food. They want the 3 courses. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. People still do. Mm-hmm. What do you want? What does the bride and groom want? Yeah. Well, we want something really relaxed, informal, rustic, chilled. And I'm like, okay, this is us.
We're talking my realm.
And my biggest bit of feedback is we were full. We were so pleasantly surprised with how filling that was.
Dude, the grazing table that you brought up to Tourstop the other day, it was like, whoa. Like, there's more food. You could feed these guys for a week.
Yeah. But again, I am a feeder. I am. Yeah. And I just love it. I love everyone being fed, and, you know, and it makes a difference. But, you know, I think that going back to your original sort of point about other suppliers and stuff, it's all of us having that relationship. Yeah. And it takes time to build. Yeah. And I think that sometimes when I'm talking to people, it's like, well, I have been going for over 2 years now. Yeah. And this is how long it's taken me to be an established caterer, to be a fully established caterer, but also as well to believe in myself that I am, you know, and it is. It's
Rome wasn't built in a day, was it, dear? Absolutely not.
And it still isn't. You know, I love learning. I love, you know, bringing new things in and just getting sort of, I'm constantly learning, constantly evolving. Yeah. But supporting small businesses as well, what you just mentioned about the other caterer. Yeah. Although they didn't feed you well enough. It's supporting small businesses. I love it. I love being able to provide something that's really locally produced and different. Really.
So caterers out there, be warned. If look after your photographer and videographer. You need to look after these.
Again, I had to learn to do that. I had to learn to even ask, you know, because you don't know. But now,
because we are still human beings, and we're there from start to finish. We're the only, apart from the venue, we're the only supplier that...
I'm thinking about you and John now. I'm like, yes, definitely fed them too, because I remember them going off. I'm thinking, as a bride, did I actually feed you? No, I did. I remember. But again, it's those little things you don't think about, you know.
And trust me, you can't have done bad because you don't stick out.
That's good then.
Yeah, that wedding, that one I've just spoke about, it stands out because it was rubbish.
Yeah, that's a shame.
A good supplier,
Yeah.
and that is part of it. A good supplier, you don't notice.
No.
You just have a good time.
That's the idea, isn't it? No news is good news.
Correct. Yeah, you just have a good time. You just have good food. Yeah. You have some cool photos. You have a nice video. Yeah. You don't know that any of this is happening. Yeah. It's all in the background. Yeah. And that shows you that you're truly nailing it. Absolutely. Cool. Right. Okay. Now, we have touched on this briefly in part 1. We're going to delve in a bit further, okay? So you've talked about in your notes about mental health. Now, I'm going to caveat this with that it's a common theme, this side of the table, yes? Now, I know that obviously it's very prevalent for everybody at the moment. It's become such a major thing in mainstream society, which is fantastic, yes? It's part of the reason why I am always so open about my own struggles. Mostly do it from a standpoint that I want you to feel like, and whoever's down there to feel like they can be as open as they want to be. They don't have to be, they can choose to be, but I'll set the stall out by saying, this has happened to me, that has happened to me, yes? Now, the way that I try and explain this to people is, now, I don't know your mental health situation, but I do know you. Yeah. Now, I always use my best friend as an example. So I always say to people that don't know me that I get a lot of, you're so enthusiastic, you're the brightest person in the room, you're infectious, fantastic. But that comes with a caveat for me that cool. And okay, so you understand everything I'm saying here, don't you? And I'm betting I would put good hard money on this table right now that you feel the same way, because you are a very similar human to me. Yes, in terms of that, my best friend is very much like this. He's a very happy human, but he's never ecstatic and he's never really sad. He's happy, he's sad, he's happy, he's sad, he's happy, he's sad, yeah? But his level is, if this is placid, he is here. He is a happy human, but he's never buzzing off his absolute tree, but he's never down here. Whereas I am, because of the nature of who I am, the higher I go, the further I fall, yeah? So I would like to think that 99% of the time I am up here. Yeah. But when it gets a bit twisty for me, it's really quick and it gets really dark. Yeah. And the worry gets really bad. Yeah. Really bad. Yeah.
It's a really complex subject, complex conversation. I feel like there has been so much good since people have been able to talk about it. I feel like I'm no way a doctor, a psychiatrist. I've got no professional, but experience, and again, it's personal experience. Yeah. I can feel anxious. Doesn't mean I've got anxiety. Yeah. Doesn't mean that it's spiraling. Yeah. It's anxiety can drive me, can be really positive, can make me excited. Yeah. So I've got these two versions. Depression, I can feel sad. I can feel very sad. I can feel depressed. In my opinion, they're very different things. Yeah. So having control over those things is number one, which I'm fully aware of. Unfortunately, in my family, there is a very, very high negative history in mental health. And I've always been okay since I had kids. And I had children and I had postpartum psychosis / depression, which is very difficult to deal with. Having said all of this, when it manifests itself and I had my breakdown that I briefly mentioned, it's crazy what came of it. It is so unbelievable what has actually happened as a result of that. When I went and I mentioned I spoke to my friend and we had a conversation, I went into little positive post boxes, which by the way was my first ever little business that I did. Wasn't little, it was really good in lockdown. It was fantastic. sent little boxes of happiness to people who needed it. In COVID, how many people needed that? So many. You know, and this is what you were saying about mental health being at a real low. It was, no one knew what to do. It was horrible. But getting one of these happy letterbox gifts in the post really lifted people. And I think that when you can give back, and I'm also a volunteer for Age UK, so I've done that for 9 years. And I speak to somebody every week, half an hour a week, and she's now 84. And I don't meet her. I'll never know what she looks like. Oh, I can know what she looks like, but I don't. We will never speak with regard to phone, like text. We only speak on the phone. Only speak on the phone. And again, giving back and being able to, get happiness. And she's been through 2 pregnancies, 2 births. She's been through everything with me. I've been through a lot of bereavement with her. And it's crazy how you can meet people along the way of this journey as such. That isn't always negative. At my bad times, but I don't need to talk about that. I'm quite happy with not, but I'm equally happy with sharing that it's okay if you feel a bit sad.
And I do see a lot of this where it's all over TikTok at the moment, where it's if you show, what is the saying? Right, I've got to remember this now. Right. It's something like, if you show me a successful person, at some point they've been completely broken. Show me somebody who has had it easy, and you'll find no merited success. Anybody who is successful has had very dark, very tough times, because that brings itself, makes you strong.
It does, and gives you drive and purpose. And you know what it feels like to be that unhappy, that you have that level of and resilience. Just so much of it, and nothing can ever hurt you like that hurt you. So I think that will always think, no, I'm okay. Everything's fine because I'm well, and actually what's better than being well? And I think in positive post boxes with that business that I had and still have, although it be quite quiet now, I think that message was never actually about any money. It was always about charitable giving. It was always about making people feel good. Graze is the money is changed it, and I don't really tend to talk about it on my Graze much because there's no real kind of link. But positive post boxes was created to make people who felt like me feel better. And it did, and it was amazing, and it was the best thing I did.
Amazing. No, but that inherently, that is who you are. You are a bloody lovely human.
Oh, right back at you.
And I know.
I feel like I need to get better at.
And I know. I've got this thing where it's like I try to be a good guy, not a nice guy. That's quite new in terms of, and it has that flick of a switch has helped me weed out some bad eggs. Because I'm like, right, okay, you've taken my niceness for granted. I am a bloody nice human. I know I am. And because I'm now a bit more self-aware about that, it's led me to a position where I am the happiest I've ever been. Doesn't mean that I'm sweet, it costs us a fortune just to live at the moment, doesn't it? That has had an impact on my business, but I'm buzzed off my tree, and that is because it's just
developing, learning all the time, and knowing what to let go of. And I think that you've just hit the nail on the head there, is just the fact of saying, look, you can be nice, but you don't have to always say yes, and you don't always have to be the one that people,
I know you said it off camera, and I've never heard that before, and I'm going to start using that.
Good.
I love it. And that is because I do that. I do, when somebody comes to me and says, I'm still getting people asking about me for 2024, you're having a laugh. Unless you want me to shoot your wedding in January, February, March, if you are looking for any month beyond there, you're going to struggle. You might get lucky because you might be able to get my colleague but you want me, no chance. And I say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I say I'm sorry about that, and you don't,
Uh-huh.
and I love it. And I love it because you go, actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry that I'm successful. I'm not sorry that I'm booked up. It just means that somebody has gotten in there and done their due diligence early. I've got quite a few people that are sitting on the fence in terms of 25, and I'm like, look, I don't say this from any. It's so difficult because when I write it, I know that it sounds salesy, but it's not. It's just not salesy. It is purely, I am experienced. I know that if you don't lock this date down and you don't sort this out soon, you're going to lose it.
It goes back to what we were saying about working together and having the bigger picture. Because at the end of the day, you're looking at the fact of this is a difference of you not getting who you want, or a videographer or a photographer. This is you're saying that you're not going to get who you want in a minute. If you take your time, you will not get who you want. And I think that I'm at that stage now where 2025 is so open. I've sent so many inquiries. I would say probably 50. And I've got 3 bookings because no one's coming back yet because they think they've got time, but they don't have time. Because Saturdays, if you look at it, there are 30?
There are
30 peak.
52 weeks in a year. Most people get married in the summer. I'm finding that a little bit more flexible now after post-COVID. But definitely. There are maybe 30 to 35 Saturdays. Well, you definitely do more than this. Well, I've got more than 50 weddings. I've done more than 50 this year. I've got more than 50 next year. So that means Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, all over the place. So if you want your supplier on a Saturday, and they turn around to you and go, the date is free, nail them down.
Absolutely. And if you want, it's like I remember wanting, certain people to do makeup, certain people to do photography, and you have a conversation, but you think a year's a long time, but in this industry it isn't. No. A year is not. No. Sort of 18 months, 2 years is about time. And I think until you're in it, or until you book a wedding yourself, you don't realise.
Yeah, because I've got one this year, 24 coming, where it makes me a little bit sad, only because it's I'm going so far for so very little. But they deserve that. Because like you deserved it, when I filmed your wedding, you only paid X and Y because I was part-time and I didn't need it to be, $3-4 grand. No. I didn't need that. Not that it is either, but, because that's the stage I'm at now. I'm having a right nightmare with, I can't figure out my pricing at the moment, because the best videographer and the best photographer in the world shouldn't be based in Barnstable to start with. They should be based in London, Manchester, or in the world, they should be based in Madrid, or they should be based in LA, or, somewhere like that. And they live here.
I love it.
They live here, apparently. I'm going, right, okay, so it needs to be this much. And I've got wedding suppliers in my ears going, that company over there charges $5 to $6 grand per wedding for video and photos. Why don't you charge that? And I'm like, I could. I know a photographer that charges 30 grand a wedding. 30 grand.
Okay.
Yeah? I'm not here for that.
No.
And the reason why I'm not here for that is because I find that, and I do, 99% of everybody I shoot for is you. Yeah? And you know what I mean by that, yeah?
I completely agree.
That you're lovely and you're fun and you get me. I've spoken about this on the pod already, but I do a lot of shows with Art of Weddings. Because I think Jules and her husband are incredible. And I did a show down at Royal Cornwall Showground. And a lady came up to me and she was super aggressive and she was asking me, inquiring about what I bring to the table really aggressively. And I told her what she got. I then stopped her and I said, I'm really sorry. This ain't working for me. Yeah. This ain't working for me. I don't think I'm the videographer and photographer for you. And I don't think you're the client for me. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, and I think that having that respect, and I think that is where what we were talking about with regard to what makes us different. It all goes back to that, doesn't it? Yeah. The end of the day, it's a two-way street. Yeah. We need to be able to work together, especially in your role, because you, like you said, you're with them from all day. Yeah. And I think that when you see your work, it's as much as your work as who you are. Yeah. And comes that with reliability factor, what happens if you can't do it? Well, I've got people, and it's always having an answer for every question. Yeah. And I think that makes such a difference. I mean, the aggressive thing, it happens. Yeah. It does. Yeah. And I think that we don't talk about that enough. Yeah. And I don't think, I've had inquiries where I have just literally looked at that and thought, oh my goodness, do you know that I'm like a mum of two sat in Bickington in North Devon? Yeah. Whilst my son's sick, I've found cover from my colleague to do, a little wedding, for example. And I am sat there thinking, I don't have the mental capacity to be able to reply to that because it's just unfair. Yeah. I would never speak to anyone like that, ever. No. So,
because it's that whole idea of if you treat people how you want to be treated.
Absolutely. But equally as well, you have to have there's a lot more. When I worked in, banking for years, it's who's in front of me today and how is this going to go? Yeah. This person doesn't want to speak. And believe it or not, I can be quiet. Yeah. So I will. So I basically would just be quiet and let them lead the appointment. If they didn't want to talk, it's fine. We'll still get the job done. Yeah. But equally, if an old person come in and I'm the only person they're going to see all day, wants to have a cup of tea and not do any business with me, they're equally going to get that service as well. So it's having that, being able to be confident enough to say actually no, or be able to mirror that person. And if you can't, and if you don't want to as well, because you don't have to. Exactly that, isn't it?
It's reading the room. So I say this whenever I go into, I caveat this with this. I've seen boobs that don't belong to me. Yeah. Now, that's because naturally I will feed off the volume and the excitement of the room. Now, if the room is chill, I'm chill. Yes. And because of the nature of the way that I film, because it's so... I've had bridesmaids forget I'm there. Yeah. And then I've seen boobs that don't belong to me because they forgot I'm there. Yeah. They got a female photographer, so they don't think it's an issue. Sure. They forget I'm there. They dethrone. Yeah. I've had one bridesmaid go, we've seen him now, and so didn't care. Don't care. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. At the same time, it's like
it's your work. Yeah. But no, it does, and that is like. It does say a lot about you, though, being able to be that relaxed around who you're with. But it's like when you did ours, I said this before, and I had Indigo Perspective, actually, John. And you're a legend. What legend. Love John.
It's so sad because when I say that Kaylee's my favourite photographer, what I actually mean is Kaylee and John are my favourite photographers. Yeah. But he is stepping away from the wedding industry. So I don't talk about him very often, purely because I don't really want to push. Because naturally, if I'm going to talk about people on this pod, I want to do that because I want people to go to them. Of course. And that's as well. I would like to think now that I'm at a point where my recommendation has some weight to it. Sure. Yeah. I did one not so long ago where somebody asked for a grazing platter, and I tagged you, and I apologise privately to Jax, because obviously she's also my friend, and because I can't remember the context of it, but I think it was something like I didn't realise she was involved in this conversation or something, and I just commented on you, but it happened to be that actually she got back to me and said, no, don't worry. because she couldn't do it either, and you're her go-to. If she can't do it, you're her go-to. Yeah. So I was like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to not. Yeah. Because I love you, Jax.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. And there is that as well. And I think that you mean well. Yeah. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes for me where I recommend a lot of people because there's a lot I don't do, but there is a lot I can do. So it's also just trying to find like what's better for that person. And there's going to be more respect because we've spoke about weddings quite a lot, but I do cater for every event. And it could be that I'm at a wedding fair and the bridesmaids come over to me and they start talking to me and stuff, and then they realise that their nan's got a 60th and all she wants is this, and at the end of the day they end up booking me for that. So I feel like that bigger picture, that being more of a community sort of thing. And I've had a graze with Jax and it's been amazing. It's been so nice for someone else to do it. It has. I've had her roast, amazing. So actually I've tasted her food. So that's also really lovely, is that when you've been at a wedding where a caterer's been there and you can really, enthuse about them. And I think that, it is. And we're in North Devon. And let's be honest, there's a lot of weddings. There's a lot of events. So it's all about helping each other.
We are the number 2. We're the number 2. Devon and Cornwall's number 2 behind London for weddings in the UK, which doesn't surprise me. It doesn't shock me. So, yeah.
And the amount of beautiful venues around here,
Yeah, and you don't have to go far to find others. No, it's really cool. It's very cool. Epic. Cool. All right, and guys, I think that's a nice way to end part 2. Join us very shortly for the end and part 3. Cool. Okay. Welcome back to part 3 of the pod. We've just had a nice little chit chat off camera, talking about some scenarios. Quite funny, quite opening. All good. So, dude, I can't thank you enough so far.
Oh, I've loved it. Thank you.
So cool. I love these ones where, we aren't. It's nice to have people on that are strangers because I get to learn something, but sometimes the conversation doesn't necessarily flow quite as well as I'd like it to because I don't know them, so it's a bit more difficult. It is a bit more like an interview. That obviously this ain't like an interview. We're just having a chin wag, aren't we? Because we're not strangers, and it's lovely and it's wicked, and obviously I love the fact, I love it that you're smashing it.
Thank you.
I love it that you're being successful, but you deserve it. Because I see it. I always say this about everybody that I'm going to name drop. When I name dropped venues earlier, I didn't name drop Hawk Barn. I'm going to name drop them now. Now, because they aren't, I've spoken about them already on a previous pod. They aren't quite where they want to be yet, but they are making all the right noises.
I agree.
They're posting the right things. They're doing the right things. They're going to the right places. They are putting their very best foot forward. I'm always going to put my weight behind that because they deserve the success that will come their way.
And they'll get it.
Yeah, you deserve the success that has come your way because you have worked your bollocks off to get it there. Yeah. And you deserve it.
Thanks.
You deserve it. No, because it's all of the fantastic things running your own business. It's awesome. It's prideful. It's fantastic. It's bloody hard work. Yeah. I always caveat that with that, it's difficult because I've had the luxury of everywhere I've worked, I've seldom, bar 1 or 2 moments in my career so far, really enjoyed it. Worked for some really, really cool people. So it's fantastic. It's fine. But most people, you speak about their employer and they talk about them in very unflattering terms. Yeah. But you have absolutely no idea what that person at the top did that you don't have to do. Yeah. To get to that point where they can, in your opinion, kick back and relax and just feed off you. Sure. That ain't the case. No. They're at the top. They're the hardest working person in the room. Yeah, because they definitely are. Because if you run your own and you have it where, we both have it now where I have Faye is my second photographer. Yeah. She's a photographer in her own right. So I can't have her work for me solely because she deserves the right and she's good enough that she can fly on her own. Yeah, but then she seconds for me when I need her. Yeah. And then I have Toby, who frees me up to be the photographer, to work alongside me, which is what's happening on Saturday. Yeah. But also it means that I can go somewhere, I can be, usually it's when I'm the videographer and then someone else wants a videographer and I can be like, well, I can't go, but Toby can go. Yeah.
Another string to your bow.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously it's, remember that, and this would be the same for you, yeah? When you challenge your vendor on who the other person is you're sending them, think about that vendor, yeah? You aren't sending your friend if you know she can't do it to at least your standard, if not better, because that's the marker. The level that we set out as a business is the level. So then to be part of my team, you have to offer at least that level or better. 100%. Yeah? Because I will accept that Faye is awesome. Yeah. She's so good. Yeah. Yes. But what she came to me for, she didn't come to me for that. She came to me for, cool, I'd like to learn from you. I can do this. I can bring this to the table. But I've never shot in this mode on my camera, so I don't know my way around that. I've never done a wedding before, but I want to do them. Yeah. So that's where I came into the fold. It was like, right, cool. So I'll teach you how to do this. Yeah. And I will get you involved in the wedding scene. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I will bring to the table. And yeah, it's going rather well.
So good. And I think that you just hit the nail on the head with the fact that 2015, you were saying, you know, we are talking a while ago now.
Yeah.
And that's when you were really balancing work life, you know, and it doesn't happen overnight.
No. Well, I'm 18 months into being full time. Sure. And and obviously people see those awards. Yes. And go, wow, he's this. Well, less than 2 years ago, I was doing 10 weddings a year. I was limiting it. I was none of this. Exactly. So in 18 months, that's happened. Yeah. I wasn't here. I didn't have 2 understudies. Yeah. It was just me. So, yeah, absolutely. And it's it was setting that stall out that 6 years prior. Yeah, I'm coming up soon. It won't be too long, 25, or I'll be 10 years in. Yeah. But maybe people,
It's the short space of time where the success has come, but the success is deserved because it's been slowly paved out along the way. And I think that's where it comes from, is that actually I look back and I think, well, actually, when someone will say to me, what did you used to do, you know, and it'll be, well, I was a manager at the age of 19 of a gym and spa, and that was at the Wilkin Bay Hotel where I got married. Wonderful hotel, my favourite place ever. I love it there. And to be a manager that young, oh my goodness, it tested me. I cried a lot. You know, it broke me some days, but it also gave me the skills and gave me that, again, that resilience, that hard work. And I'm talking back, you know, 10 years when I left, and then I went into, you know, banking, etc. And I know that it all paves the way. And I know we were speaking off camera about, like, what does the future hold? And I definitely think in business, we have to be really realistic when it comes to being self-employed is so uncertain. You have to trust the process. You have to know that what you're doing, you're going to reap the rewards financially, because the reward is financial because you need to pay your bills. You know, you need to be able to do nice things with the money you're earning, because at the end of the day, it is an income. It's a job. But the other side of that is that sometimes you also can't think too further ahead because of how much you've got in the diary, which can overwhelm. So the future for me has always looked very, very grateful. I'm always grateful. I'm always thankful that you've chosen to book. I'm sure you feel the same.
Oh, absolutely.
Chosen to book us over all those other people you could have chosen. You've chosen us. You like our vibe. You think we can work together. I feel the same too. And I always think to myself that you're as good as the day you know, and this is because I've had accolades at banking. I've been Employee of the Year in Nationwide. I've done so many wonderful things.
Why does that not shock me?
I'm still grateful. I'm still humble because I know that you are, because I had children after that. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Went back and I was part-time Kate that didn't have a clue what she was doing.
And you end up back at you've built yourself.
Oh, massively.
To go back to the beginning again.
Really hard. But again, build. Yeah. And I'm at the stage now where I've got Christmas off this year. Yeah. That is a choice I made for me and my family. Yeah. And again, I said about how wonderful James is. He is. Yeah. But he equally knew what Christmas did to me last year. Yeah. I was really poorly. Yeah. And I can't have that. No. I can't have that. I can't be poorly, you know? And it's no good to anybody.
Because why else do it?
Exactly.
Because running your own business comes with stress. Yes. But it's the right type of stress. Mm-hmm. Because it's the stress that you're willing to deal with, yeah. The fact that it sometimes gets so just crazy busy, where you're bouncing from one to the next to the next. Because we were talking, weren't we? Yeah. So you get it worse than me. I can do about a 2-week cycle in terms of I did it only the other day. So guys, if you're watching this, I am so sorry if I wasn't as enthusiastic as I would have normally been to see you. But they only booked with me 3 weeks ago. Wow. And they saw me in the street. I'm out of context. I'm with my wife and child. It took me about 30 seconds to realise who I'm talking to.
Of course.
Because I deal with so many people. Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, you're talking to me like you know who I am. Yeah. I've got no Scooby. Yeah. I'm lost. I'm absolutely lost. I'm like, who the blooming hell's this? I'm dealing with my 4 weddings that I've got for the rest of 24. And I can deal with them. Yeah. They're locked in. I know who they are. I know where I'm going. Yeah. But I say that, but not my last one. I know who that is, but I need to clue myself back up on where on earth I'm going. Yeah? Because when it gets crazy, it's like I can do mostly about 2 weeks worth of you're in my peripheral. Absolutely. And I can think about you. Yeah. But if you are 6 months down the road, you're miles away from me. For you, you're, oh my God, I'm 6 ways away. I'm 6 months away from my wedding. For me, I'm like, you're 6 months away from your wedding.
And I think that goes back to this whole, wedding planners out there. Yeah. Having that kind of, do you know what? As long as you have penciled everybody in and you've paid your deposits, they're in. Yeah. Don't panic. Yeah. Don't worry. It's under control. Yeah. It's just under control a lot sooner than you would.
Because we'll reach out to you when we need you. When we need you, we'll shout.
For me, realistically, I don't need to speak to you yet until we know who's coming. Yeah. Because your numbers will change, and they will change. Your dietary requirements. This is the biggest thing as well. Do you cater for dietaries? Yes, I do. Yeah. I cater for all dietary requirements. It's my frequently asked question. Of course I do. Yeah. Vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free. I can cater for all of you. And I think that having that panic that I don't is also a worry for people, but it really isn't a worry. But again, it's because I do it every day. Yeah. And you want it to be right, and I appreciate that. Yeah. But please trust that when you're booking somebody who, again, look at the awards. Yeah. I'm not saying I've won any, but look at the reviews. I love that yet. But look at the reviews. Trust what people have said about us, because there is a reason they said it, and they've booked. And we're at the stage now where we have had that level of clients that gives us a big enough spread to really see that, 5 out of 5 is good, So, keep it going.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Nah, mate, I'm super, super buzzed for you. Oh, thanks. Yeah, look, we're here to take over, boys and girls. We offer, we're just doing what we do, aren't we? We offer a service, we offer a bloody good one, and the rest is up to you. Yeah. I think you get this when I say this. if it's a wedding we're talking about, your wedding day is not about me. It's about you. Yeah. I'll do my best to nail it for you. Yeah. But that's all I'll bring to the table. Yeah. Look, I know I've worked with photographers when I'm the videographer that think someone's wedding day is about them, not me. There is a I'm not going to say what they play, but there is a musician out there that there is a feeling between a few suppliers that supplier makes someone's wedding about them. Yeah. And that's not me. No. That's not me knocking what they do. What they do is incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
But again, it goes back to let's think about how we book. So I book, you book with me, and I will always offer you a coffee chat. Yeah. If you would like a coffee chat, let's do that before we pay deposits. Yeah. Because if you're not 100% sure, I'd like to think you would be when you've met me. Yeah. That's how we do it. Yeah, yeah. Because actually, it's about you as well. Yeah. And it is about you as well, as in about the bride and groom. Yeah. You need to know that you trust the person that's in front of you. Yeah. And again, it is about the bride and groom. It is. And I think, it's madness. Yeah. It's so good, so much fun,
and that's the point, isn't it? It's different flavors, different horses, different courses. Yes. Because of course, I'll get a lot of my business because I don't even stand by my stand. I go away, I leave it alone because mine's visual. Yeah. So I don't want you to feel like I'm putting pressure on. Yeah. I want you to have a look at it, and then if you're there, I know that you like it because you're interested. Yeah. So then I'll come and talk to you. Yeah. No worries. I don't sell it. No. We have a chat. You don't need to. No, because if it's good enough, and then hopefully you'll feel then that's my vibe. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I can vouch for that because you've done my wedding. It's the truth.
I got the luxury. Yeah. I got the luxury. Oh, yeah, amazing. Absolutely. Luxury and the honour. No, it was awesome. Yeah, damn right. No,
this is amazing. And I think this is such a lovely platform for small businesses like ours to be able to have a chat and to really talk about what's involved. Yeah. And again, it's every angle. This covers every angle. Yeah. And I've listened to a few of what you've done already. Oh. And I think it's really lovely that, you're getting some real good people on here that have got good stories and inspire you.
I think one of the biggest thing I found so far with this pod is that now the wicked thing with you is that you kind of are already there. Yes. In terms of you already see yourself in the light that I see you in, which is so nice, so healthy. What it has got me thinking, got people thinking down the other end of the table is, geez, haven't I? Yeah. I'm doing all right. Yeah. I'm doing all right. And apparently because I think they're doing it right, and that's nice for me because they feel like that if I'm saying that they are nailing it, they believe me. Oh, 100%. And that my opinion has some weight to it. Yes. Yeah? Yes. I think you're doing fantastic and you should be damn proud of yourself. Yeah. And they start looking at themselves going, actually, I'm quite proud.
Yeah. But when I said at the beginning again, that is a very hard thing to be able to do, is to say, I am proud, I am good. Yeah. It's taken time, but it goes back to, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. No. We're going to end there.
Oh, I love it.
That's epic. Nice one, dude. Thank you so much. Super, super buzzed. So, guys, if you're listening to this on Spotify or any other podcast provider, thank you very much. The numbers on the last podcast have been really good so far, really early doors. So it is growing, which is nice. And obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, which I know I have a few people that have said to me, we watch rather than listen. Awesome. Guys, if you need any sort of feed or you need a grazing table, come and see this woman. That's the first time on this pod that I have actually ever said you need to reach to speak to this supplier. 100%. Dude, you're a legend. Thank you so much. No worries. Bye.